one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. Just gotta mean something, you. They gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2-3. 1, 2, 3.
Finish.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps because they know what happens next. So without further ado,
Free smoke.
look. Scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much or how you doing would admit to me, but motherfuck all that. I don't even offer up the time to make the call back. Stupid Lodo, if they don't get the picture now, man, I crop them out of the photo. I can't relate to my peers. Been doing this shit for years. I'm motivated by fears. I took the wheel and I steer. My sound not dictated by fuck boys in Atlanta. Stay gifted like this album was ghost written by Santa Bars forever, like they decided to throw me under Slammer. Every song's a hit like they picture me underhanders. I could drop a million songs, but they never gon' understand us. Soapbox sermons for niggas never giving chances. Fight our whole lives to get these weak ass advances. Work twice as hard for the shit that they getting handed. And this ain't even nothing we chose, nigga, we branded. Still can't tell why all of these niggas mad at me. I'm trying to get 100 so I can put my team on salary. Give it all to the art, man, I turn my life to a gallery. Man, damn, what a fucked up masterpiece. 1,100 shots and I swear, man, I felt them all. If we ain't even good on our blocks, man, who can we call? Pre-decline state of mind, we broke crabs in the barrel. Got us fighting our folk, man, this shit just a life of peril.
Yesterday's price is not today's price, Ravens. What you thought you were going to have to pay him, you're going to have to pay him more.
Well, the NFL Pro Bowl just happened. Welcome to Kicking It with Saint. I am your host, Saint. I appreciate y'all for joining me, yo. Just got done watching the Pro Bowl games, 2022 season. It's in the bags. It's a wrap. I enjoyed it. Listen, we got a lot to talk about because it's a lot to talk about. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to start the show with a football thing. I'm going to start with an actual NBA topic. Kyrie Irving was just traded to the Dallas Mavericks for Spencer Dinwiddie. There's a couple other pieces to the trade, but the biggest piece being Kyrie traded for Spencer Dinwiddie. Interesting trade. Really don't know how to feel about it. My basketball logic tells me that this ain't gonna work out. It's not a championship duo, but it's a lot of fucking points that can be scored between the two of them. However, hard for me to say that it's a championship duo because I don't think they better than. I mean, if Kyrie and KD didn't win a ring, why would I think Kyrie and Luka can win a ring? So, I don't know, but who knows what happens with that. Anyways, NFL Pro Bowl game. So we had a lot of different things happen throughout the Pro Bowl weekend, and it started on Thursday night or Thursday afternoon, whichever. It started on Thursday. It went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What games happened on Thursday? Thursday, I think we had the dodgeball game. I'm not sure which days was which. I can't. So many different days, so many different games. They didn't even make it a big announcement like telling us the specific days things happened. You just had to turn on the TV or see people tweeting about it. But it was an interesting. Listen, I know people. I was seeing Twitter. I saw people shitting all over the flag football games, which it was 3 of them. Which I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of like the concept of having 3 separate flag football games. 2 quarters. I think it's 10-minute quarters, or 2 halves. Both halves being 10 minutes. All 3 of the quarterbacks that selected to the Pro Bowl get to start each 3 of the games. So for the AFC, you had Carr, Lawrence, Huntley. All three of them started individual games. So Huntley started the first one. Lawrence started the second one. Carr started the third one. And same for the NFC quarterbacks with Kirk Cousins. Who were the quarterbacks for these teams? It's so hard to remember because it wasn't the starter. Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, and Geno Smith. They had the other quarters. So we'll get to that when we get to it, like talking about the actual game. But it was multiple events that happened throughout the weekend. And it was multiple events that happened today in between the flag football games. So you had the dodgeball game, which I like. They tried to add extra things onto the dodgeball game. I still don't think the dodgeball game is presented in a big enough fashion. But we'll get to that in a minute. You had dodgeball, you had best catch, you had move the chains, which was actually a fire ass concept. They should add on to that. You had the gridiron gauntlet. You had the lightning round, I think it was called, where it was like 3 separate games. It was a lot of different games. It was basic. You had the Pro Bowl, the quarterback precision passing. A lot of different events for the Pro Bowl this year, which I'm not mad at, because you should be trying to turn this into a Pro Bowl weekend. Now, for one, a lot of people who not gonna like the way these events went down. That's just because it's new. The more and more you do this, the quicker it'll catch on. And you got to, put some effort into it. So it should be a committee in the NFL that's working on the Pro Bowl and how to make the Pro Bowl better all year round. Like, now that the Pro Bowl is ended, they should start working on it for next year. Like, what can we do to make it better for next year? You should really be having all the dudes who, I understand that every single dude that made the Pro Bowl this year won't make the Pro Bowl next year. I get that. But it's a lot of dudes who are perennial Pro Bowlers. Get each Pro Bowl roster from each year, sit them down in a room and talk to them on different suggestions to make the weekend better after you just got done with the weekend. Because you look at, for one, maybe it's just because it was an Allegiant Stadium, a brand new stadium in the NFL, which is the Raider Stadium. It was packed. Like, it was a lot of people there. This is probably one of the most packed. I haven't seen the Pro Bowl this packed in a while. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it was packed. Now, that could have a lot to do with the stadium, but who knows? Regardless, it was packed. I feel like, though, they can do even more. I'm not even mad that it start Thursday and go all the way to Sunday. That's great. That's 4 days to get your shit off before the Super Bowl week come around, and it's just constant Super Bowl media. But I feel like the NFL don't even realize how much better they can. No, they probably do. They can take this thing to the max. Now, I know they're not going to implement every single idea that I have in 1 year, if at all. But it's a lot of different ways they can make this game even bigger. Now, to the people who just hate the Pro Bowl because it's not the same as it used to be, what you have to understand is things change, the game evolves. That's just the reality. You would much rather see these players be able to walk onto the field next season and be able to play. You do not want to see these dudes after competing after a long season. See, some people instantly say to themselves, well, why don't they compete? It ain't like they got nothing to play for. The season over for them. They go home after this. Yeah. Why would they compete in this exhibition style type of competition? A fun day, basically like a field day type of thing. And go home with broken limbs, torn ligaments, what? How is that fun? So no, I have no problem with them switching the game from a regular game to a flag football game. They tried everything they could to make the game more physical. It just wasn't going to happen. Players did not want to get hurt in that game. I'm not mad at that. What I do hope is that the flag football game at times kind of looked like the games from previous years. I do think they could do things to fix that. But towards the end I would say the second and third flag football game were a little bit more pleasing to watch in moments of those games. But it's still a lot of different things. But before we get into all the different games, a lot of people who complain about the Pro Bowl and constantly complain about the NFL is at least trying different ways to fix the Pro Bowl. and make it an appealing game. Multiple people said just cancel it. The NFL said we're not canceling it. Cynics immediately said, oh, that's because they're making money from it. This is still a big event. Every single sport has this type of weekend. The NFL can't have it during the season because of the physicality. So you have it at the end of the season. Now, some people will say that's stupid to have it at the end of the season because now they're not going to want to play because they ain't playing for nothing. You can't have it both ways. It's just reality. If they had this Pro Bowl during the middle of the season and dudes was competing hard in that game and somebody left that game hurt, which is bound to happen, you would be pissed off, and then you would change the narrative to why would they have a Pro Bowl during the season? They shouldn't be having a Pro Bowl game during the season. Dudes can get hurt, yada, yada, yada. That's what it would be. So you really can't win if you're the NFL. The only way you can really win is to continuously make way, know that you're trying to improve the product. I defend players all the time. But at the end of the day, this is and was always on the players. If the players don't want to compete, the game not going to look good. If the players don't want to hit each other and don't want to be physical, the game not going to look good, because football is not a game that you can half-ass and it can look good. That's just the reality of it. The NFL can't force players to play harder. It's just the reality of it. And the guys that want to play hard, that people keep saying, bring in these type of players, and those ain't Pro Bowlers. You can't just strip away the meaning of this weekend and say, let's get the Pro Bowlers out and bring in people who want to compete. No. Next, this is on. I noticed something in this game, and this happened every year, but why did Joe Burrow not come to the Pro Bowl? Why did Josh Allen not come to the Pro Bowl? If Lamar Jackson was healthy, I would have said, and he didn't show up, I would have said, why did Lamar Jackson not show up to the Pro Bowl? Why did any of the starting quarterbacks who was healthy to show up not show up? That's on them. I don't know if it's they feel like they're too good to be at the Pro Bowl, if the Pro Bowl is beneath them, if they might as well go ahead and get if you're somebody who think, oh, I can just go ahead and get a jump start on my offseason, to me, that's ignorant. And that's you thinking you could try to flip that into I'm trying to be ready for my team early in the offseason. But to me, that's just hella selfish. And that's you basically saying you better than the Pro Bowl, because it's a lot of great players at the Pro Bowl that I'm sure are ready to go ahead and get a jump start on their offseason. And they still decided to come to the Pro Bowl. Micah Parsons was there. Jalen Ramsey was there. The Rams played for nothing this season. Jalen Ramsey still showed up to the Pro Bowl. Jamar Chase just lost to the Chiefs last week in a big game. He showed up to the Pro Bowl. Justin Jefferson lost in the playoffs this year. He showed up to the Pro Bowl. It's multiple top players who show up for the Pro Bowl even after suffering bad losses throughout the season or at the end of the season. They still show up. It's the quarterbacks who people continue to give a pass to for not showing up to these games. And you can't say, oh, they scared to get hurt. The games haven't been physical in nearly 5-6 years. So that's not an excuse. So to all those people out there who complain about the Tyler Huntleys and Derek Carrs and all those different type of players that's in the Pro Bowl, blame the quarterbacks who choose not to show up for the Pro Bowl when they can. That's on them. I hate it when people complain about NBA players not playing certain games or having load management, because they play physical sports. They need to be able to sit out. Just because you showed up to this game, I don't see you complaining about games you don't show up to that other people might show up to and that a certain player don't play. It's only when you decide to show up and the player not playing, now you want to bitch and complain about it. I hate when people do that. That's not on the players. Players should be able to rest throughout the season. I don't care how they did it back in the day. We are a different time. Times have changed. People have evolved, medicine and all those things. We know now that players should be able to take rest in between in different moments throughout a season so they can stay healthy enough to compete in the most important parts of the season. It's a completely different story if a team ain't even competing for a championship or a playoff spot and they resting players. Completely different when you have a team that's competing for a title and they need to take different moments throughout the season where they can strategically rest players. I will never have a problem with that. This ain't the same. This is not the same. These motherfuckers you don't think Stephon Diggs, Trayvon Diggs, all these other superstars that's out here at the Pro Bowl still dealing with lingering injuries that they can't wait to end their season so they can go home and get worked on and, chill out and whatnot? These quarterbacks could have made the Pro Bowl, point blank period. So if you somebody who mad about the level of talent that's out there, blame the players who continuously decide not to show up. It's a completely different story when dudes is hurt and injured. No, is injured and just cannot physically perform in the Pro Bowl. But this starting to feel like dudes thinking they too good for the Pro Bowl. Because you look at Trevor Lawrence showed up for the Pro Bowl. That's a big time young quarterback. So I'm very confused as to why people continue to choose. That's on the quarterbacks to me. Somebody need to say something to the quarterbacks about this. That it's nothing the NFL can do about quarterbacks just choosing not to show up for the Pro Bowl when they can. Now, let's talk about some of the games that happened at the Pro Bowl. Dodgeball, to me, that's the first thing I want to talk about, because we got a lot of little other games that happened throughout the Pro Bowl, but I want to talk about dodgeball first. And dodgeball this year was, so at first it was the offensive linemen of the NFC. No, it was like the offense of the NFC taking on the defense of the NFC. And then the offense of the AFC taking on the offense of the defense of the AFC. And then the winners between those two teams would match up against each other in the final round. It was very interesting. Pat McAfee and the boys were calling the entire weekend. Him and Kurt Herbstreit called the Pro Bowl flag football. They called all the events that happened on Sunday. So the flag football games that happened on Sunday, the what do you call it? The mini games in between, like Move the Chains. What was the other games? They played a lot of games. They did the catching competition. It was a lot of mini games that was played. I like the format, basically, with a whole bunch of mini games. I just think they gotta go even harder into the idea. But the dodgeball competition was offense versus defense. For the AFC, I believe the offense lost the first. The defense for the AFC won. Yeah, because Nick Chubb, no, was it? I think it was Josh Jacobs. He was the last dude in for the NFC, and he threw the ball right to, like, I think who was it? Marlon Humphreys. It's like he was trying to throw the dude out, but he threw it clean to him. Now, I also think that I was going to say maybe the field is too small, but that's just how it look on TV. And if it go a certain amount of length of time with nobody getting out, they shrink the field even more. But they set up like barricades with fans around it. And I actually do like that. I changed my mind. I like that. And I actually like the lighting in the stadium. So the lighting was like dark. It wasn't like a bright colored stadium. It was like real low lights. I like that type of feel. They could have done even better with that, but I wonder if like because I don't want it to be a pre-recorded type of event. I want fans to be able to be there. If they did it but I wonder could they put like trampolines in for like a more epic type of game about dodgeball. And I'm gonna tell you what was hilarious about the dodgeball game. They was taking fans out, bro. They was launching dodgeballs into the stadium, bro. Like launching dodgeballs into the stadium. It was wild. But the dodgeball competition, continuously finding ways to make that better, is always going to be dope. I still think that should be the last game always of one of the nights. Whichever night it is. I also feel like they got to find ways. Like this year, they found ways to make it longer by basically having 3 games. I feel like next year you can make it even longer. Like next year you could do like defensive line versus offensive line. The skill positions versus the skill positions. Then once you get all those rounded out, like you could do a whole dodgeball type of tournament. I feel like it's so many different ways to get these. Because one of the things that I'm not finna complain about is that, they're not having physical Bro, they play 17 games. Some of these dudes here played more than 17 games because they played in the playoffs. I'm not about to get mad because these dudes not out here tackling each other and shit like that. This is the Pro Bowl, bro. They're supposed to come out here and have fun. And that's the biggest thing. As long as they out there legitimately having fun, enjoying themselves, that's really all that should matter. I understand there's got to be some entertainment value to it, but that happens when they actually I just looked at this one dude just launch a dodgeball into the stadium, bro. Like he was trying to hit God. But when that happens, I understand, like, as long as they having fun, that's one thing. But if they like having, I don't even think it's a true that they could be like, I don't think they could truly be having fun and be having a bad showing. Like, if you having fun, you got to be trying it some sort. You know what I'm saying? Like, they clearly out there trying during dodgeball. Clearly. And the crowd be behind that. So it's other ways you can do things. Like dodgeball to me should be a whole type of day. Like they should find a way to turn that into an entire day. Even if it involves, like, before you even get the tournament started, you should be having like, bring in like professional dodgeball teams and have them compete for charities or something like that. Have fans compete in dodgeball competition. Well, nah, because that'll end up looking bad. I want it to always look like I don't want it to feel like a sideshow. I want it to be able to be on TV and look competitive. You might not have fans there that's, you know, some don't want to get hit. They ain't wearing the proper gear. I don't want to do that. But have multiple, like, and also the coaches. I understand the coaches is old and the captains is old and they retired and blah, blah, blah. But I want to see them do something. I don't want to see them just walking around talking mic'd up and shit like that. Have Peyton and Eli compete in some type of competition throughout I know I'm getting ahead of myself because we're talking about the dodgeball competition right now, but have Eli and Peyton and Ray and DeMarcus do something. Have them compete in something. They the captains. Now, I do know that they sat down on one of the things where they threw at, like, you know, you go to the fair and people sitting on that thing in the dunk machine where you're trying to hit the bullseye to dunk the person. Yeah, they did that, and the AFC won. But when Eli got dunked, it was just confetti that fell on him. Like, that was very disappointing. Very disappointing. But that's kind of the idea. Have more ways for the head coach, for the coaches and the captains. And Snoop was one of the captains of the AFC, and Pete Davis was one of the captains for the NFC. Have ways for them to compete, like maybe have a food eating competition, like a pie eating competition, who can eat the most pie in a certain amount of time, or, you know what I'm saying? The coaches should be involved in the Pro Bowl also. I also would not mind if Peyton and Eli were always the two head coaches. I just think Peyton and Eli bring a certain type, well, Peyton is always going to bring a type of orator, whatever he in, but Peyton and Eli bring a certain type of energy, in my opinion, that lends itself to this competition. They lively. They like being mic'd up. They not afraid of the cameras. They not afraid of the mic. They not afraid to interact with players. Make this a competition where guys want, and I already know guys want to come to this because it's the Pro Bowl, but make it something where dudes want to really get back to this on a yearly basis, because when you get here, it's not like you know, throughout the season, you saying to yourself, hey, bro, I got to compete so I can get to the Pro Bowl. But it wouldn't be bad if that was something in the back of people's mind because of how competitive the Pro Bowl done got. I think the notion that the Pro Bowl can only be competitive if they hitting each other and tackling each other real hard is a fallacy. That's just not true. Competition don't just involve, like, one of the big things that was in the dodgeball game, when Saquon and D'Amico Ryans and Demario Davis was the last two in for the NFC game. That was a tense moment where Demario Davis thought he won the game, but when they went to the replay, you can't hit people in the face. He hit Saquon in the face. Boom. Saquon get the clutch win. Even though a receiver probably would have caught that, that's neither here nor there, because Tyreek actually dropped one early in the game, in the previous game. But Micah Parsons started the game by going straight off sides in the middle and grabbing all the balls and throwing them, even the ones that was on the side of the opposing team. I said, yo, what is up with this dude, yo? This dude's a maniac. He was disqualified because they went by real dodgeball rules. But, like, continuously making the dodgeball competition even better. I understand you can't probably put the coaches in the dodgeball game. Like, I don't want to see Eli and them boys out there competing in the dodgeball unless they felt like they could. I get why you don't put them out there. That's more of the young, youthful players type of thing. But making the dodgeball, like, bro, the NFL should be trying to make this like a 2 to 3 hour type of programming. And they could. People would watch it as long as they invested and the players invested. you good. Like dead ass. And now one of the things that I also think they got to figure out, like, could they get Troy and Joe to do one of these Pro Bowl things and be fun about it? Because right now you got the ESPN analysts who like on shows like Marcus Spears and them guys, and I like those guys. But it's a certain type of feel if you had dudes who call in the game on Sundays who look at these games just as big as like trying to provide to the sport, trying to make a weekend fun for fans to want to come and enjoy and look and watch and compete in. Not fans competing in, but it's a lot that go into making this weekend big. And if people just accept that it's just not going to be like it once was, the process to start making it a off the charts weekend would have already started by now. And it wouldn't just be people going at the NFL all the time saying, oh, this is bad, or that's bad, or this was boring, or that's boring. You know what I'm saying? Like, I truly think that the Pro Bowl can be, this weekend to me was a great start because it showed that they can put together a lot of witty mini games, a lot of football inspired games, like the Move the Chain game that they played today, where it started off with a big wall. It's two teams, NFC, AFC. You move the weights off of the racks on the wall, and then finally, once everybody done moved their weights off of the rack, you run and you pull chains to move the wall past the first down line. Whoever do it first, win. That is a phenomenal idea. That is a phenomenal mini game. Like, I don't know who thought of that, but that was a brilliant game to think of. That should be a game that's played every year. Now, I understand that you can't have the same, like, people compete in it that competed in it this year, because the same people might not make the Pro Bowl again this year or next year. But that should be a game that's continuous. Like, even if it's not a solo game, it should be a part of a gauntlet type of game, which they had tonight, where Penei Sewell just destroyed a wall, where like dudes will run through a wall, and then they had like a what do you call it? Like a not a decathlon. They had like a race or like a skills competition that you see in the NBA, where you got to complete each objective. Shout out to Brian Burns, who absolutely dominated that portion of it, like a military type of training exercise. Like, that was brilliant. That is more type stuff that you should have. Like, I understand that people will only try to focus on the ultimate not having an actual game. But if you just look at the different type of things, this was like a carnival, a couple days of carnival games played at a highest level. And not necessarily at the highest level, because some dudes might not know the rules and all these other type of things. But I really enjoyed the different type of competitions they put together. All you have to do is build on those competitions. I'm still a firm believer that you should have a night, probably Friday night or Saturday night, probably Saturday night, where you do like a game show, like Family Feud Pro Bowl edition, or Supermarket Sweep Pro Bowl edition. Whatever game shows that people watch, good game shows, not no whack ass game show, but any good game show that people watch, you should do Pro Bowl type of setups for that. Bring them to the Pro Bowl and have that set up so you could do it at, like, and that when you do mini games like that don't require you to actually be physical, but require you to use your wits, you can bring in legends of the game to compete, like, and get fans familiar with previous legends, put them on the AFC and NFC teams. Those are games that the coaches could be competing in. It's so many different ways that they could not only grow the game, make money, grow the fans, grow the players, what do you call it? Grow their likeness and image and all that type of stuff. Grow their brand. That's the word I'm looking for. Like, it's so many different ways. That's why I like it when players come out here. Because even if you know, okay, this ain't like a Super Bowl or nothing, this still is helping you grow your brand. Because people still watch this. Fans still come to this. They're not going to forget watching these athletes compete in these silly games. You know what I'm saying? Like, have a game night type of thing where you set up a nice little lounge or something like that. Shit, everybody doing podcasts nowadays. Have a Pro Bowl podcast with the players. How the players come and do like mini games on a Pro Bowl podcast. Like, I think one of the days should be straight game show, game inspired type things where we get to a little bit more insight on the players. We get to talk to the players. These is different ways to get to know the players. And also the NFC won the dodgeball game. But these different type, because dodgeball can't be the only big like super event that people remember coming from the Pro Bowl along with the game. There's so many other things that was great about the Pro Bowl. You had the kickers competed in the tic-tac-toe, but it was called kick-tac-toe, and it was the long snapper, the punter, and the field goal kicker all competing. Now, Morgan Cox dominated for the AFC, and they won that competition. And all of these games add up points to the final, what's the game? Flag football game. And it's a lot of different rules and things that happen that I got to remember, but they also competed in another game, the longest drive, where the AFC and NFC competed in a golf game where they basically was hitting drives and see who had the longest one. That was a great competition, with the ending of it being very clutch. Jordan Poyer winning it for the AFC after TJ Hawkinson took the lead from CJ Mosley. Some of the dudes never had hit a golf ball before. So to me, that was a great way to, like, things like this help the game. It helps the weekend, and it helped get everybody involved. The Madden game on Saturday, where they competed, where it was Sauce Gardner and Tyreek Hill competing against Micah Parsons and Justin Jefferson at Madden. That was great. Now they could do that event. They could do even better on that event. And Marshawn Lynch was there, and I cannot remember the woman who was there with them. I can't remember her name at the moment, but that was a good event. That was probably my least favorite of all the events as far as like what I was watching, because I was watching them. But hearing them shit talk each other, hearing Micah Parsons is hilarious. Hearing him and Tyreek go back and forth, that to me, that's dope. Spice Adams was also there. He was the coach of the NFC. I can't remember the dude's name who was there for the coach of the AFC. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I know this is not going to happen. I wouldn't mind if they did not, have Madden in this at all. I know they're going to, because that's the official game of the NFL. But if they did not have a competition that involved Madden whatsoever, you wouldn't see me complain. Because I'm not a fan of the Madden video game. I think it's a trash game. But I understand having, and that could probably buy into the fact that I thought it was not the best, the great. Because in order to have that type of competition, I think you would actually have to bring in streamers. But I don't necessarily know how you could make that maybe that's when you bring in Fortnite to have some of these or Call of Duty, to have these dudes compete against each other in a closed off server, to compete online against each other in a competition against on Call of Duty. Maybe that's what you have, or Halo or something like that. A game night where they compete, and not just in like a supermarket sweep Family Feud type of event, but also on a video game, a Fall Guys type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like different things like that would be fun to watch. And the NFL had the resources, so they could help get one of these gaming companies to help them, set it up and things of that nature. It's so many different ways that they can help, that they can go about like making this weekend fun. Because to me, that's always going to be what's important about these type of all-star Pro Bowl type of weekends. Having fun for the players. They compete 24/7. Now they have a chance to just lay back, still compete, but actually have fun compete. Nothing is on the line, even though things are on the line. These are just friendly competitions at the end of the day. That's all they are. And I respect that. And so I don't have no problem, like I said, with there not being a big time game, because I think it's fun in what these games are. They just got to present them in that way. And they also got to tell people every day that they're going to be televising this stuff, man. Like, they can't just, because I didn't even know that the Pro Bowl started on Thursday. I just happened to catch all these events when I got home on YouTube. But I like how they going about it. They did a balloon toss. I know some people wasn't feeling the balloon toss. I didn't really have a problem with it. If you wanted to replace that event with something else, I'd be interested in what event you. But the reason I didn't have a problem with it, because it just showed me that the NFL is trying to find ways to make this weekend fun. Different type of ways to make the weekend fun and have everybody that made the Pro Bowl competing in some type of way. Like, to me, that's important. And so I don't have no problem with the balloon toss game, to be completely honest with you. I don't. It was funny watching some of these dudes catch the balloons, and it didn't look like nothing was wrong with the catch and nothing like that, and the shit still popped. So that was an interesting game, but I didn't have no problem with that. Some people could have said, wow, what was the purpose of having that golf game? Bro, it's literally you getting to chill with these players, have a listen in on hearing, you're getting to see their personality off the field, seeing them compete in things that's not football, competing in each other still for different causes and things like that. Like, maybe if the NFL made the competitions more like, I do feel like it's got to be. See, right now it feel like a field day. It don't feel as organized, even though it is very organized. It don't feel as organized because the fans get to be so close to the action. People get to walk around during it. Like, it feel kind of like a field day. The more official of a field day it start to feel like, though, the better it's going to be. Like, these events, they just chilling and whatnot. Maybe have them chilling, but on opposite sides, like only sitting with the AFC and sitting with maybe no intermingling throughout the competition and things like that. Like, maybe have a reporter on each side being able to talk to different guys throughout the competition. Like, somebody suggested maybe they have like a home run derby type of thing. I don't think so, because I don't know if these dudes is, strong enough to be hitting major league home runs, or if they that talented. But, maybe it is dudes who can do that. Nonetheless, different type of competition. All of them don't have to be some physical type of feat. Like, they can be witty puzzles or game shows and things like that. Matter of fact, if you did a supermarket sweep, you could then involve fans, because you could literally have a fan on each team with the different type of with the different players. So it's so many ways to make the Pro Bowl better. I don't have a problem with the weekend that they just had. They did this thing where it was the best catch with different receivers. That was a little bit weird, I'm not gonna lie. And then they had it today where it was more like a dunk contest type of thing. Stephon Diggs failed every single attempt. That's all right. I'm not hating on that. But, keep finding ways to improve that. It's always going to be about how can they improve it and who going to compete in it. Because if nobody want to compete in it, then it don't even matter that they improve it. And when people want to compete in it, they got to want to actually compete in it. They don't have to just want to be there to have fun. They got to want to be there and have fun and actually put on a show. Now, when you get to the Pro Bowl game, the actual 3 flag football games, I'm not going to lie, it was parts of the games where I wasn't feeling too much, because at certain parts, these became check downs. Now, that's my whole thing. You can't do that's my only problem with flag football. When you start checking the ball down, now I got a problem. I feel like you got to be tossing that bad boy down the field. Like, I don't care if I'm throwing interceptions and all that. I'm slinging that bad boy. Nobody getting tackled, even though Jalen Ramsey did tackle Tyreek Hill on one play. I feel like it's parts of the games where, they become kind of practice route looking parts of the game where it's just pass and catch, short routes up the field, touchdown. But when dudes is actually out there competing, it was a sequence where it was like 2 interceptions in a row. Stephon Diggs had a trick play where he was point shaving, threw it right to his brother for an interception. Right after the NFC had got an interception. Jair Alexander, I had to talk about my guy. He had an interception. CeeDee Lamb had a crazy catch in the game. Like, the AFC won one game. They won the second game. The NFC won the other 2 games. they got a bad performance by Derek Carr in that third game. I'm not going to lie to you. Trevor Lawrence, the only one who won his start. And they had a good first game. So that wasn't even on Huntley. The only real bad performance they got today was Jared Goff had a rocky performance in his game. And Derek Carr just did not show up in that third game, which Peyton Manning's whole thing was to have the Raider guys start in the third game. And he probably should have had Derek Carr start first. But all in all, I mean, it was big plays in that game. Like on one of the fourth downs, they had to have it for the AFC, and they threw a deep route to Stephon Diggs. Mind you, it was condensed field. It wasn't a whole field. I think it was like 50 yards, if even that. I liked it. Just keep finding ways to make it better. To the point where nobody is even, like when you get to the Pro Bowl, the actual Pro Bowl flag football game, the vibes is already immaculate because you done had a great weekend off of the past couple games. They talking about those past couple games. They showing highlights from the past couple days of Pro Bowl games. And then when you get to the game, you interact and more interactions with the fans on the sidelines. I mean, with the players throughout the game on the sidelines, talking to reporters and whatnot. This should be an experience that's fun for players and for the fans, getting to know more about these players, seeing them off the field and not having to compete in a serious game. It's not going to look like the NBA. The NBA got the best all-star game and weekend because of what they do for the players and how they put their players on display, but also because it's easy to not really go 100% in basketball and still have it look like a great game. I still think you can do the same thing in football. Not to that extent, because obviously you can't go hard in football and not hard and make it look good. But it's still different ways to make, mind you, I think you put different type of milestones and like achievement type things throughout the game that you got to get to. I'm trying to tell you, it's different ways to make this game better and the whole weekend as a whole better. I still think it's hope for the Pro Bowl. I know the football purists is going to hate the Pro Bowl. But I can see hope for the Pro Bowl. I think the Pro Bowl should become a fun weekend full of games, mini games, competitions for the players and things like that. They make it a bigger event because it don't, as big as the Pro Bowl is, it don't feel as big as it did back when you was having a game. But that's okay because the Pro Bowl been falling off a couple years. This is the first iteration of the Pro Bowl games. But I like that. Now let's grow the Pro Bowl games. And so I fuck with it. I'm not going to lie to you. I enjoyed it. Obviously, like I said, if you're somebody who just obsessed with those hard-hitting Pro Bowls back in the day in Hawaii, you just never going to like this. But to you, I would say you just have to understand that as the game evolves, so do the mindsets of people who play it. You're just going to have to get with the times. If you're not, then you just never going to enjoy the Pro Bowl. So it just is what it is. But if you are somebody who enjoy mini games and game shows and all those different type of things and competitions and fun type of things, this could be a great thing. What if they like brought Wipeout, a Wipeout type competition to the thing, like sponsored by Wipeout one? Like, it's so many different things at the end, and they got the money. So it's so many different ways that the NFL can continuously grow upon the Pro Bowl games. I like it. With that being said, I like that you joined me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint, bro. I truly do appreciate y'all, man. Like, subscribe, share if you can. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. You can be anything in the world, man. Choose to be kind to somebody today. Saint out. Fucking stumbling over my words.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, you know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking or something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber, you out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home.